G'day there everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Welcome to this video where we are going to take a look at a new model that is coming to the Power Platform and in particular Power Automate called the Azure Open AI Service. Now if we can see on the screen here, you can see that we've got this new model. We've got a new action that is coming to Power Automate that allows us to create text via GPT. And that's what we're going to build out and have a look at today. So we're going to use this service in the context of improving our customer service. So the scenario we're going to walk through is that we've got a customer feedback form built in Microsoft Forms, and we're going to take the responses from that. We're going to analyze the sentiment of the response of the customer and then generate some text and some responses and also some action points using this new model and using that action in Power Automate. So let's set the scene first. Let's have a look at our customer satisfaction survey form. It is really simple. We're taking a name, an email address, just asking a question if they want to be contacted via email. And then also this main part where the user can share any areas and aspects and things like that that they think we could improve on. So that's the form. We're already built out. And now let's jump into Power Automate where we're going to create our workflow. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to use this new describe it to design it, just to give you some insight into what that does as well. So let's click on describe it to design it. And this is where we can just actually type in what we're trying to do. So the first thing we're trying to do is whenever somebody submits a form, we want to take some type of action. So let's start with that. All right, so let's go when someone submits a Microsoft form, and let's see what comes back. So we can see here this first suggested flow: when somebody responds to a Microsoft Forms survey, send me an email and send a message to Teams. Now, not exactly what we want, but it's a good starting point. So let's use this. It's going to build this out for us. It's going to add all the connectors in for us. It's going to do the trigger, and it will also add a few actions, but we're going to delete a few of those and remove and add our own. So let's use this. All right, so we'll click next. Then we can review. Done our connected apps and services. We're all good to go there. Let's just create the flow and we'll go to our authoring canvas. All right, so that's building this out for us. We then need to select our form, obviously, which we already have got created. So we'll select the customer satisfaction survey. And again, we need to pass in the form ID, which is the customer satisfaction survey. Now, I'm going to just remove and delete these actions here because we don't actually need these. All right, so this is not really what we're intending on doing. So what we're going to do is we are going to add an action. All right, so one of these new actions called create text with GPT on the Open AI service. So a new step, a new action, and we'll see in the under the AI builder category here, I've got this new action here called create text with GPT. All right, it is in preview now. At the time of this recording, it is in a gated private preview, so it may not appear for you as an action right now, but it is coming. So we can see here we can create our instructions. So what we're going to do first is we are going to identify some sentiment and things like that. Okay, so we can see here, we can then, we've got a number of different templates that we can choose from, or we can start from blank. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to analyze the sentiment. So you can see here, we're describing what we're trying to do. So we're sending it. And if you've used ChatGPT before, then you can write something out, ask ChatGPT to give you a response. Same approach here, all right? So what we're doing here is we're identifying the sentiment of the text below, where we're going to pass in the response as positive, neutral, or negative. Okay, so we're then going to identify possible subject causes for the sentiment assessment. Now we're going to add a little bit in here. All right, so what we want to do is we want to summarize the text that gets added as well, and we want to identify possible action points. Okay, now I've got this written out here, so I'm going to add this part to the instructions. So we're going to do the sentiment analysis, identify possible subject causes, and then we're going to summarize the text and identify the possible action points and place them as bullet points after the summary. All right, so that's a pretty good starting point for us. So we're going to use these instructions in the flow. Now we can see here that that adds those instructions to this box here. So after we're getting the responses, what we want to do is we want to pass in the response of that customer. All right. So we want to choose. Let's just have a look at this survey again. Please share any areas. All right. So that's the one we want to use. So we want to choose this one here. So we want to insert that and pass in the response that gets added there. All right. And that's all we're going to do for that action. So it's going to grab the response it's going to insert that text into here, and it's going to use these instructions to do what we want it to do. Now, as a rule of thumb and a good practice is then to follow this with an approval. All right. So just to make sure that we can look at the response that we get from GPT first, and then if we're happy with that, then we can proceed. All right, so we're just going to add in a little approval step here. So we'll do this. We'll go new customer satisfaction survey response in here. And let's just assign this to the account that I am logged into here. So we'll just assign this to system administrator, which is the account I'm using. And then in the details, we're going to separate this out. So what we're going to do is go to, let's put this one as user input. So we're going to be able to see both of these. All right. So this is the raw input. All right, so we're going to pass in that, and then we'll go to, we'll add another section here to the details, automated response from GPT. And then what we'll do is we'll pass in that response that we get from the action above us. So we'll pass in the text and the generated text, okay? And that's all we're going to do for this approval process here. Then we need to obviously add in our condition. So we'll add in a condition. We will look for the outcome. If it's equal to approve, then we're going to go down this path, okay? We won't worry about the no path. You can do whatever you need to do down that path as well. Now, what we're going to do here is we are going to use another create text with GPT action. So we want to generate a HTML response here because I want to insert that and add that to an email. All right. So I'm going to choose again the AI builder, and then I'm going to create text with GPT, but this time let's use a different template. So I am going to use this one here and just craft and change this. All right. So create blog post. And you can see here, this one is, look, it's got a few things that we don't need. So we're going to basically rewrite this. All right. So I am going to just grab this here and I'll paste in what my instructions are going to be. So what I've done is I've written this, write a response in HTML format that includes line breaks from the below text. And we're going to pass in the text inside here. But don't start or end the response with anything. So what has tended to happen when I've been using this is that it would start and end like a letter. So it will go, dear customer, or yours sincerely, company name, or something like that. So I don't want it to do that because I'm going to add that in another step in the send email action below. So we'll remove that. Now, the response, if any, is intended to make it known that the feedback has been taken on board, and if the sentiment is neutral or negative, then write a response in an apologetic tone. Please make it known that the feedback will help us to improve our service. So let me just do this spell check, and then we're also going to say, please provide the key action points as a bulleted list. All right, so we're going to craft that as a response, and we're going to insert that into an email that we could then send automatically, if we approve it, that is, to the person that provided that feedback. All right, so let's use this instructions in the flow. And what we need to do is we want to remove this. We want to pass in the text that was summarized, right? So I'm going to pass in this part here. So from the step above, where we've already gone through GPT, I'm going to pass that back in to this topic section here. Now I'm going to change start of, instead of topic, I'm going to say start of text and end of text. Okay. Now, based on this response, now what would be probably best practice here is to do another approval step in here. But just for the purposes of this video, we're just going to go straight into sending an email. All right. So what I will do is ordinarily just pop in another approval process here. But let's go send an email. Now I'm going to send that to, because in our customer satisfaction survey, we had a field where the person could pop in their email address. So we'll do email address and we'll go, your response has been received. And what we're going to do here is go dear, and we will pass in the person's name from the form because we've got them to fill out this. And what we're going to do is we are going to pass in the output or the text from this create text with GPT. Now this is the second one. So it's up here and I want to pass in the text, and then we will end the email, go kind regards, and I'll just put my name in here. Like so. So now we've got this built out. All right. So let's just recap what we're doing in this workflow. So we're getting whenever a new response is submitted to our customer satisfaction survey form, we're getting the details of that. We're then passing it to this new action, create text with GPT, with these instructions. So we're identifying the sentiment first, and then we're outlining or identifying possible subject causes that causes this sentiment, and then we're summarizing the text and identifying any possible action points and placing them as bullet points. We're then going through an approval process because we want to just check the response that comes back from GPT. If it's approved, we're going to go through this path here, and then we're going to create a response in HTML format that we're then going to email that back to the person that filled out this form. Okay, and then we could obviously build on this if we needed to as well. So let's save this, and then we'll give this a test. Okay, so what we're going to do is I am going to just generate a bit of text here that we're going to use as the feedback that we're going to give. All right, so we are waiting for this to go. All right, so let's give this a test. We'll give this a manual test. We'll save and test. Now let's get onto our form. We'll give this, pop this here, and we'll go through and fill out this form. So we're going to start this. Here is my name. Here is my email. Like so, and yes, we do. And again, this could also be another branch in our workflow. So if the user says yes, then obviously we want to send that email to them. If no, then we don't have to do that. We could pass the response and the generated text that we get back from GPT to our internal systems, or do provide a follow-up or something like that for our internal team to take action. So we've got this. Now let me just grab my now I've used ChatGPT here, and let me show you what I've done here. So what I've done is I've just said, you know, you're a customer, purchased a pair of shoes, etc., etc. It's now generated a just a generic type of response here. So I'm just going to use that. I'm going to paste that into this section here, and let's submit this. All right, so now we are all submitted. So what I'm going to do here is let's have a look at back at our flow, and let's just wait for this to kick off. So it's been submitted, it's got the response, it's passed this to the Azure Open AI Service, and it's creating this. It's already started this approval. Okay, so let's now just jump over into Microsoft Teams, and let's have a look at the approval that should come through here. So we've just got that here now. So it's a new customer satisfaction survey response. What we'll get is the output here. All right, so here's the output, and we should be now good to go. Let's just check what this one is here, and we'll just make sure that we've got the right one. So let's just have a look. This is the one we want. All right, so this is it here. So you can see that we've separated this out. So we've got the actual user input there, that what the user added to the form itself. And then we've got the automated response back from GPT. So we can see that it's analyzed the sentiment as neutral. It's identified some possible subject causes to that has made this response neutral. And then we've got the summary, and then we've got 3 possible action points. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I'm going to approve this. All right, so let's approve this now. We'll jump back into our Power Automate flow here. So it's now been approved. It's going to come back into this conditional branch here. So we'll just open this up. It's created the text and it's sent the email. So let's have a look at the email that now has been sent back to this person. So we'll just wait for that email to pop through, and then we'll open it up and see what that email actually looks like. Okay, so that email has now come back through to the person that submitted that customer feedback, and you can see here that here's the email. So thanks for taking the time, and this is what GPT's come back with via that second action down here. Okay, so it's created a response. Thanks for taking the time to provide us with the feedback. We appreciate your suggestions. We'll take them into consideration as we strive to improve our service. We understand your disappointment and apologize for any inconvenience caused. We have noted the key action points that will work to double checking the size of the orders before shipping, providing more accurate estimated delivery times, offer more flexible options for returning our exchanging items, and then finishing off, your feedback is invaluable to us and we thank you for helping us to improve our service. So all of that has been automated. Right, so all of that has been, not touched or not written by an end user. It's used these new actions called Create Text with GPT, and look, that's just a simplistic process there. All right, so we can obviously build upon what we've just done there and really go a lot more in depth here. But what's important to note here is that right now it's still really important for us to add these approval steps, because we don't want to send things out or create things or generate text that is either inaccurate or is not in the right tone or things like that. So having an approval process in between all of these is just good practice, so that you can review what is coming back. And all we have to do is either approve or reject, and then we should be good. If we do approve it, then we just continue on. So I hope that brings you some value today. The new Azure Open AI Service and these new connectors that are coming to Power Automate, creating text with GPT on the Azure Open AI Service is really going to bring you value, and is something that you can start to think about incorporating into your business processes. Now, if you do want to have a chat or have a discussion about how you could potentially start utilizing these type of things in your business processes, then please do feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn, or if you want to jump on to modernworkcollective.io, you can get in contact with me there, and then we can organize and we can have a chat and discussion about how we could potentially incorporate this into your processes as well. So hope that brings you some value. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.